needs no introduction, although I must say in the agenda it says George Cherian. We know it's Cherian, George, thank you. We know that. He's been around for a number of years. He's been advising us on what we can do, and we are so interested in having him come up and talk to us. And so Cherian, of course, is the global head of Fitch rating. Well, if I'm not mistaken, Jen, I think Fitch was one of the first organizations that joined TEAMFL. So they're part of that founding. And a lot of that is because Fitch, with Cherian at the helm, realized the importance of being a part of the Transportation Association. So Cherian, I know you're here somewhere, there you are. Cherian, in the sake of saving time, if you don't know Cherian, then you've missed out on an opportunity. Please make sure you get to know him. With that, I don't want to take any more of your time. I want you to tell us all about what's happening in the state of Florida with everything that happened last year and some of the legislative things that came about. Thank you.
Everybody, and Rosa just gave me a promotion. I'm not the global head of Fitch.
You are?
I'm the global head of infrastructure, which is what we all do. So I'm happy with that job, and I'm thrilled to have that opportunity. So I'm here to talk about, I have a little clicker here. Is this it?
Green arrow.
All right, got it. So I'm here to talk about independence, something that's very important to each of you, given what's happening in the state in the recent past. But I cannot talk about that without talking about the other things, which is accountability and good governance. So I'm going to start with that. I'm also going to ask those of you who are the less initiated in credit to pay a little more attention, because I think the finance folks are going to go to their phones for the first couple of slides, given that I'm going to talk about things that they're probably more familiar with. But a robocall from somebody. I'm sorry, this is life. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about credit, and I just want to make sure I start with that to give you the context of how we think about these things. So, what is a credit rating? Why am I having this conversation with you, right? What we do with ratings is we assess the ability and willingness to pay debt on a full and timely basis. You heard a little bit about what's come, the technology, etc. This is the cold hard facts are what you need to get people's money today. Okay, so ability is great if you have the ability to pay, but you need the willingness to pay. You also need, if you have the willingness and you don't have the ability, that's also a problem. So we look at both, and that's really important in order to assess the ability to pay that back. So at Fitch, we have 5 key rating drivers. And I bring this up mainly because these are the foundations of how we get to a rating, and in fact, it's what investors look at to assess their willingness to buy the debt that's issued. At the end of the day, revenue is what drives the revenue envelope, so it drives the strength of the asset. It's really the volume behind it, its stability, its predictability over time. I'm going to skip price for a moment and just jump to infrastructure review. Well, really what the first two do is tell you how much revenue you have. The third one is the largest place where you start to spend that money, and it's how you renew existing assets and how you expand assets. And you need money, and you need revenue stability to be able to do that. We look at things like debt structure, which probably are not of great interest to each of you, but at the end of the day, it's how you can service your debt, and that's the last bullet on the page. The liquidity you have, the leverage you have, the financial ratios that we look at, that in fact tell you that even in good times, but also in bad times, you will be able to service your debt. Very important to a rating. Let's come back to number 2, revenue price risk. It's the legal and economic pricing ability, and I'll explain that a little more in a moment. But it's all, a point to make here is it's your rates relative to any cap. What's interesting about the U.S. in the public authority model is public authorities have the unique ability to be able to control their rates and control their destiny. It's self-regulated, unlike most parts of the world where in fact there are third-party regulators that decide, and that's even true in the U.S. with investor-owned utilities, where a third-party regulator tells you what your rates can be. That's not true of U.S. public authorities. Toll authorities, airport authorities, some public power authorities, water authorities. It provides this tremendous strength. I bring this up in part because you have that flexibility, but there is a bit of a disconnect between what you tell the public and what you tell bondholders. You tell the public, I'm going to keep your rates low, it's going to be growing at inflation, it's going to be growing at 2%. But you tell the rating agencies, and you tell the public, and you tell the bondholder, I have unlimited rate making flexibility. I'll use it. Don't worry about it. You get paid. There's a contract that, in fact, exists with bondholders. So that becomes an important point that I think we're going to talk about a little more as we go. So let's talk a little bit about independence. And the financial folks may want to come back to this conversation at this point. So from a credit standpoint, independence is key. But before we talk about that, we need to talk about the ability to pay. At the end of the day, what's unique about, again, the US public authorities, the US as an economy is one of the strongest in the world. If you look at the ratings that we have in transportation, for example, we rate 600 credits, mainly in transportation and energy across the world. The US transportation credits are among the highest ratings we have. And not just high, they're high and very high investment grade. That's A category and AA category. That's true in Florida, it's true across the country. And that's because of the strength of the economy, the quasi-monopolistic characteristics of these assets, and what that translates into is tremendous economic rate-making flexibility. What does that mean? I'll give you two contrasts. One is a project that I worked on 20 years ago here in Florida, the Garcon Point Bridge. It's a bridge that underperformed, its service area is not that strong. There were issues with being able to raise rates on that, both from an ability standpoint and a willingness standpoint, due to the politics of the region. The credit suffered, and I know you guys are still living with that decision and the issues associated with that. Contrast that to a facility up in the New York region, which is where I live, the George Washington Bridge. If that's a standalone credit, it's not, but if it was, it's got a toll rate of about $14 or $15 per passing across the bridge. You could arguably, and Ed Regan will probably debate this with me, you could probably double it or triple it, and you would still maximize rates. That's the hidden value, economic strength of the asset, right? That's tremendous. And so that's an extreme example, but there are many examples all the way up between the Garcon Point Bridge and the George Washington Bridge that tell you that's the hidden strength. The ability to pay is extremely strong. So we move on to willingness. Management, all the public authorities, investors trust you, but they don't trust you fully, so they want a contract. They tell you, listen, you need to have a rate covenant. The rate covenant says you're going to put a floor. You will raise rates if you hit that floor, right? Because they know public authorities, political involvement is not uncommon. So that's why they have that. And that's a legal contract. But if you just had that contract, what you would have is a rating in the triple B space, depending on the strength, maybe slightly higher, slightly lower. What they want is stability and predictability. So management has financial policies that say we not only pay for operations, we pay for maintenance, expansion, we maintain rates at a high enough level to make all these payments, and that gives us more financial and credit strength. And we agree with that. That's why the ratings are A and AA. A point to make here then is, before you can take credit for all of these things, you've got to think about one other point, and that is, yes, you have independence, and you need independence, but independence is part of a double-edged sword. You need accountability, and that's an extremely important combination that needs to be considered. So moving on to, what are the impacts of that? In our ratings, we make assessments about the relative strength of every key rating driver, one of them being price. In the case of price, most US public authorities have the ability to be stronger. Florida's Turnpike is a great example. It's got a long history of dealing with good times and not so good times, but making tough decisions that in fact have been in the interests of the public and arguably bondholders. And we assess them as stronger. It's one of the highest ratings we have. If in fact there was a view that rates could not be raised as they have in the past to deal with the needs of the future and the current needs, there would be an impact on the assessment here. And let's assume that we made a choice, that's what happened, and we changed the assessment to mid-range. What would the impact be? One, your revenue flexibility would go down immediately because all of a sudden you wouldn't see as much revenue in the future as you might have in the past. And then we would probably have to consider whether the rating, given that you've already had debt on the facility, may have to go down. And in fact, there's an argument that in theory, the ratings could go down 1 to 2 notches, depend on the facts of the transaction and the facts of the situation, but that's the exposure that you have. The effects of that mean a higher cost of debt, lower ratings means higher interest rates, and most importantly, both your relative strength and relative weakness are go on an exponential curve. At some point in time, your ability to support debt will go down. If you think about investor-owned utilities in the U.S., right? In the corporate space, they have a metric called leverage. We use it too. They say about 6 times leverage is consistent with investment grade. That's triple B. We rate A and AA credits with 10 to 12 times leverage, almost double, with significantly higher ratings, in large part because of this factor, and then the history of management, things of that nature. So there's a tremendous double whammy when in fact you make these decisions. If it was to go to weaker, which is clearly a risk in some cases, the impact is much more significant. You can have a whole category drop from AA to A to triple B, etc. And the implications are even greater. This takes us to, I know many of you want to talk about MDX and the point that, well, what happened in MDX was bad, the intervention of the state was bad. The way I would put it is the intervention of the state was not ideal. Really what you tend to see is states do have a role in infrastructure, so the fact that the legislature gets involved is no surprise to us. It's happened all over the country. There have even been instances where legislators have said, we're going to get rid of the Ohio Turnpike. Pick an agency, probably had it happen to it. What has tended to happen though is sounder minds have prevailed in the long run, and the view has been the patient may be not as well as we'd like it to be, but the doctor should focus on trying to heal the patient and not kill the patient. And that's something that I think is something that we all need to think about. The bottom line though is, at the end of the day, you guys are all in the business of delivering infrastructure. Your job is to maximize that. You have a tremendous asset. Strength of the economy, strength of the regulatory framework that you have. It allows you to invest a lot when we live in a world where nobody wants to tax anything. It allows you to deliver infrastructure. So some of these decisions have a significant regional impact because they lower your ability to do that. Moving on. So just talking a little bit about investors. Investors, no surprise, they don't like unpredictability. Their low ratings means high interest cost to them. But more importantly, when they start to get really concerned, they will in fact push back the proposals you have for the structure of your debt and look for protective covenants. That means less flexibility for you as an issuer at some point. The rate covenant is a great protection, but it gives you a lot of flexibility about it to do a lot of what you want to do. There's some requirements in terms of waterfall of debt and things of that nature, but it gives you a lot of flexibility. What you don't want is investors saying, we don't trust you enough, but we'll only lend you money under these circumstances, which is what a bank would typically do. Investors also think broadly. They don't look just at your credit, they look well beyond it. Now, the MDX situation is a single instance. To the extent it leads, and there are other things that happen, clearly there would be concern. And I'm not saying there aren't issues on both sides of this situation that need to be considered, but I don't know all the details. But to give you an example, up in Canada, there's something called the Quebec premium. Investors in Canada will look at an identical power plant in Ontario or in Quebec, and they will say, we price it X in Ontario, and we price it 10 basis points or 20 basis points higher in Quebec, because life's just a little more complicated in Quebec. Things don't work the same way. It exists. I'm sure it exists in the US, so the bankers here may have examples that they can talk about. I'm not as familiar to that. And the last piece of it is, the good thing about government is government makes mistakes, but government also corrects those mistakes. The problem though is market doesn't forget. And so there's a price that you're going to pay for a while when you make a big mistake. So they seek and they pay for stability. So moving to the other side of the coin, and that's accountability. And I've got a few examples, I'm going to go through them quickly because we don't have a lot of time. But I'll go through the first couple of slides, and that is Pennsylvania Turnpike. The state of Pennsylvania needed to find a way to pay for transit, so they decided to use the turnpike to pay for the transit in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. They raised tolls, and that's what happened over the last 10 years. Significantly high tolls, that's the cash rate, that's the electronic rate, not much different overall, and this was inflation, right? The bottom line is investors, the nexus between the highway user and the transit agency was not clear. In fact, one doesn't use the other. And in fact, what you have had is a situation that this has become politically unsustainable. And you have debt that's an issue that, as far as the eye can see, so it's a very difficult problem, lots of challenges, but the state knows that it needs to solve this. And clearly, but now 10 years later, a lot of debt has been issued. I'm just going to go past this, but the key point is, there was an unclear value for money argument. Good governance says that you need to show value of money to the public, not just today because I lowered your toll rates today or increased them today and gave you a project today, but over 20 years, over 30 years. The lender is looking at 30 years of debt, and they want to get paid over, and they're looking for stability over 30 years. The other example, and that's an example, Samuel was here a little while ago, San Joaquin. The toll road that was built in California, it underperformed, but there was a covenant and a commitment to bondholders to raise rates. It wasn't easy to do. It's a board that has, I forget how many cities are involved in there, but all the mayors of all the cities around are on that board, and they all had to agree to the rate increase, not for 1 year, but for 2 decades. And they did it. Okay? Nobody turned around and said, you shouldn't have built the road, you shouldn't have done this. They needed the road, they got it built, people saw the value for it, and in fact there was also some highway options which people would tend to use, but this is the overall picture. And I would say there was a value for money argument there. Ohio Turnpike, they built and expanded the turnpike in the late 1990s. The key was good messaging, letting the public know where what they wanted. It was always a highly rated turnpike. We actually upgraded AA, and I would argue they made an even stronger value for money argument. There's always people who will argue on the private sector side that you should privatize the turnpike and you can do wonders with that. There are two sides to every coin, and again, that's a different conversation, but I think they've done a reasonably good job. And then you look at New Jersey, that's a mixed picture. This is the state in which I live in. 1991, truck tolls were raised in order to cross-subsidize and reduce the cross-subsidy maybe, but it was not messaged very well. Lots of pushback. People did not see value from the investment. There were downgrades from not just Fitch, from other rating agencies. In the late 1990s, early 2000s, they decided to stabilize the credit, which they did. They had better messaging, they managed costs, they were able to deliver infrastructure and expansion to the New Jersey Turnpike and connected to toll rate increases. Guess what? We actually, I would never have believed this 10 years ago, we actually put it on a positive outlook last year. So a good story, despite troubles in the past. So to wrap up, to me, building trust is critical. It's in the public interest. You cannot have gaps between what you tell the public and what you tell bondholders. We tell the public your rates are going to grow by inflation. We tell us, don't worry, we'll raise them when we can. If you have a history of doing that, which some of you do, we will believe you. If you don't have a history of doing that, we will believe you only when you do it. And same with investors. Tolls are a political issue. So I think one of the things that we have is there's also this disconnect that says, don't worry, the public loves tolls. All of a sudden that's changed. I don't believe that, right? And I don't know what surveys you guys look at, but the information that I get does not tell me that. I think we need to be honest. We need tolls. We need tolls to build infrastructure. Then all it needs is be honest with your constituents. And tell them what you need to do and give them what you promise you're going to do. And then rate adjustments need to be affordable, they need to be predictable, and most important, they need to be value for money. One last point, at the end of the day, you are delivering infrastructure. And you've got a tremendously strong set of assets to do that. Good governance means you're able to do it and do it well. Poor governance means an exponentially weaker framework. And what that results in is actually more expensive and less infrastructure. Thank you.